Greetings, everyone. This is A.J. Williams coming to you from beautiful, sunny Santa Clara University. We're here today to talk to you about the application process. And I'm joined today by one of our great students.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily Raposa. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm a sophomore here at Santa Clara University. Right now I'm in the College of Arts and Sciences here at the university. I'm a double major in psychology and political science currently. In addition to being a student ambassador and working in the admissions office, doing panels, tours, talking to future Broncos, I'm also involved in our SCAP program here on campus, which is our community service, social justice and activism group on campus. So we do two things. One, we hold events on campus for students. So this week we have Allyship Week going on. We have events every single day. Today we actually have a blood drive also going on that we're collecting blood from students through Red Cross. We also work with students to connect them to sites off campus. So I work with the College of Adaptive Arts. I bring students who want to volunteer with individuals with disabilities to that location in Santa Clara. We do art classes, hip-hop classes, earth science, computer programming classes with those individuals. So that's a really rewarding experience that I found at Santa Clara. Additionally, I'm on the club field hockey team. So all of our club sports here at Santa Clara are pay to play. So that means that I pay for my uniform, for my coach funds, as well as travel. We do compete against other schools in the area. We have 6 games in total. For us, we play Cal Poly, Chico, and Davis. So it's still that competitive atmosphere with your team, but not so much practice times that you have this large commitment to sports. So I only practice 3 times a week and have games occasionally on the weekend. So it's a nice balance between sports and academic life for me because I am not extremely dedicated to the sport that I play here. I'm also involved in off-campus Greek life as well.
Very impressive. When I was a student, I just played basketball and went to class. So that's very cool. So today we're here to talk to you about the application process, and we'll definitely cover Santa Clara because we're here and it's beautiful and it's 80 degrees here. I don't know what it is there. But we're going to try to make this bigger picture and really just kind of cover the ground of what you guys need to know. So for you seniors, things are probably starting to ramp up right now with early deadlines fast approaching. For Santa Clara, for example, our early decision and early action deadline is November 1st. Early decision being binding, early action being not binding. January 7th is our deadline for regular decision and our ED2, or early decision 2 option. And so, my advice when it comes to applying is really students should apply when they're the strongest. If they can right now look at their situation in terms of GPA and test scores and the kind of classes that they've taken, hopefully they've challenged themselves in the context of their school. If they feel pretty confident that they're the strongest applicant they're going to be, it makes sense to apply early because you'll find out sooner. If not, and you're banking on progress in senior year, apply regular. With early decision, really you're saying, if I get into a school, I'm coming. You're committing to go there. And so probably not the route to go. If at the end of the process you want to be able to sort of compare packages and financial aid from different institutions. But if you're not in that boat, then early decision is the route to go. With early action, you find out the same time, right? And you still have until that May 1 deadline in terms of when to decide where you're going. Again, January 7th is the deadline for regular decision. We notify at Santa Clara around the mid-March time frame, still giving folks plenty of time until that May 1 deadline. With early decision 2, you find out a little bit sooner. And so we'll get decisions out for early decision 2, I think around the sort of early February, mid-February time frame. And so, yeah, those are the different options. I think just in the big picture, it's important to kind of realize that in this country, when you say 4-year institutions, there are a lot of options, right? Like upwards of 2,000 plus options. And really, the way I kind of break down or describe those options, they fall into one of 3 categories, right? And so you have traditional liberal arts colleges. When you hear that term, those usually are smaller schools, ranging in size from a couple of hundred to maybe 4,000 or 5,000 on the high end, right? And again, if you are coming from high school in California or Texas or Colorado, you might go to a high school that size or larger. And so that's one end of the spectrum. And I think the benefit to smaller environments are smaller class sizes, more access to faculty and things like that. The ability to do undergraduate research, right, as an undergrad, not competing with graduate students, that kind of thing. Smaller schools also will usually have, higher 4-year grad rates and that kind of thing, right? And so that's one end of the spectrum. On the other end, you have much larger institutions, your public schools usually, right? And they're larger because they're there for the public. And so, yeah, when you're talking about populations of 20, 30, 40, 50, on up thousands of people, that's a different feel. That's a different feel. And so, yeah, I think it's important to sort of get a sense of the different types. Schools like Santa Clara and other similar sized schools, medium-sized schools, to me, those are institutions that range in the sort of 5,000 to about 20,000 range. Here at Santa Clara, we are at the undergrad level, about 5,500. We're growing a little bit. We'll get to about 6,000 in a couple years, but 5,500 undergraduate, about 3,100 graduate students, but we're limited with our grad offerings, right? Only have about 6 graduate programs. The majority of our graduate students are working professionals who take classes either early in the morning or in the evening. What that translates to is at the undergrad level, every class taught by a professor, average class size of 21, student to faculty ratio of 11 to 1. That's typically the environment you find at smaller institutions, and so so I think size is a big thing to kind of figure out. Lily, it's a nice day on campus. Why don't we go check out another spot?
Sounds good.
Whew, all right. Who would have guessed in October it's 80 degrees? What's it looking like back home?
In Boston right now, probably 55 degrees and raining.
All right. In terms of the application itself, we should probably hit on some of those components.
Definitely.
As I tell folks all the time, it's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, the academic components, the GPA is probably the most telling indicator of how much of a student you are on a day in and day out basis. Do you go to class? Do you pay attention, take notes, that kind of thing? So that's a number, right? A GPA. What it doesn't tell us though is the kind of courses you took. Okay, and so that's what we look at as admission folks is your school profile. So we know exactly what's offered at your institution, and during the review, we're going to see, did you challenge yourself? We know how many years of foreign language or math or history are required for graduation. Did you go above and beyond? If you're applying to the business school here, are you at that calculus level? Not that that's required, but we prefer to see that. Engineering, calculus, physics, that kind of thing. So the context of that GPA is important. Test scores, they don't tell us how intelligent you are, but because everybody who applies here takes them, we can say, how did you do? And so for Santa Clara, and really generally speaking for most schools, there really is no preference toward either test, ACT or SAT. My advice is that you take both tests at least once and see how you do. And if you think you can do better on either one, take it again senior year, that kind of thing. And so, again, in terms of the academic components, a GPA, a test score, the kind of courses or how rigorous your time was, that's very important. The personal side, though, that matters, Just as you were looking for certain aspects of a university, there aren't necessarily certain aspects of individuals that we're looking for. We're simply looking for individuals. We're looking for interesting people who are going to come into our campus and add to it, right? Add to that diversity of thought, of geography, of whatever, And so that's important. The essay, your extracurriculars, the letters of recommendation, that's where we, as admission, counselors or reviewers, try to get a sense of who are these people that we're bringing into our community, and that's a very important piece of it. So, did you have any tips maybe for the folks out there in terms of, I don't know, how to approach the essay or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think what you said about taking both tests or looking into both of them is really good advice. I didn't know which one I wanted to take. I didn't really know the differences. So I took a practice test in both, saw how I did, saw that I did better on one of them, and then worked towards getting a better score on that test, which was a really useful resource I had. For the more personal side of it, I do think that the essays and supplements tell a lot about a student, and they're important aspects to sort of show who you are, show what you're passionate about, what's important to you, because like you said, that GPA, your standardized test score, your classes aren't necessarily going to tell the whole picture, or who you are as a person. So for my essay, one of the best advice I've gotten, and I've told other students, is to write about something that obviously you're passionate about and important to you, but it doesn't have to be this huge, remarkable event. It doesn't have to be the service trip you went on across the world where you lived in a remote village. It doesn't have to be about an illness in a family or a situation that you had to overcome. It doesn't have to be something big. Obviously, if you have one of those experiences, I'm sure everyone would love to know about it and hear how it affected you. But I personally looked for something that was small in my life that wasn't a big event. It was focusing on the relationship I have with my youngest brother. It was just a memory that I recounted. And in that moment, it showed what I was passionate about, who I was as a person, and who I valued in my life, my family. So that was a little look into my life. But again, it wasn't some big experience I had. It was more of a smaller memory that I focused on. So you can definitely do that. You don't have to have this big event to write about, but you definitely want to show who you are, who you're passionate about, or what you're passionate about, to give admissions counselors a little view into your life, into what's special for you, which I think is some of the best advice I was given to as a student.
And that's a great point. I mean, you know, for us, for Santa Clara, we're on the Common App. The Common App has about six different prompts to choose from, you know, and, you know, 1 through 5, we read a lot of those, right? My favorite is when students choose number 6, which is, I think, you know, write about whatever you'd like to. We live in pretty interesting times. You know, the world is going through some pretty interesting things right now. If you can't really kind of tie what's going on in the world to what you're passionate about and maybe what the university that you're looking at, you know, states as its mission and things like that, what are you doing? You know, have some fun, be brave out there, put yourself out there, and have a good time. You know, so. All right, Lily. Now, one of the things that I love about these kind of conversations is that I love the opportunity to sort of demystify this process for folks, and to give folks sort of a reality check, right? And so for everybody out there, what I want you to do right now is take a deep breath and relax, right? Because this shouldn't be as stressful as we've made it. You know, folks, you should know that, you know, your chances of getting into most schools when you apply are really 50-50. Either you get in or you don't. The national average admit rate for the last few years running has hovered in the 65% range, right? And so, again, your chances are greater than 50-50 at most schools. Only about 20% of all the schools in the land admit under 50% of the applicants who apply to their institutions. For Santa Clara, what that looked like last year is that we received around 16,300 plus applications, when all was aiming for a class of around 1,400. When all was said and done, our admit rate is 47%, right? So almost that 50-50, you know, kind of range. What I think is sort of counterintuitive, though, is that while we're a school that admits about half the students that apply, our averages are up there, right? And it's a competitive group. And so last year, our admitted student averages and unweighted GPA, so on a 4.0 scale, of a 3.82. The numerical weight given at most high schools for honors and AP and IB, we look at within the context of the school you're coming from, right? How rigorous was your time? Now, if you're applying to business here, again, do you have that calculus? Engineering, calculus, and physics, that kind of thing. For the test scores, our average last year was a 32. And for the SAT at a 1600, our average was a 1420. It's a competitive group, right? In part because of where we are and what we're known for and the students that we attract. And so it's important to be realistic. Folks, Google is an amazing tool. Public schools will tell you exactly what the requirements are. For private schools, you kind of just want to be around the ballpark, right? And so I think that's important. So to that end, I think we were talking, you know, what brought you to Santa Clara? Why'd you choose us?
Absolutely. So there were a few things that I was certainly looking for in a college and a university. One was definitely a small undergraduate population. First, not only for that small class size, the relationship with the professor, being taught by only professors, and not being dependent on TAs, and then also those undergraduate opportunities for internships, for time with my professors, for jobs, things like that. Also, again, the location was really important to me. I did want to get a little bit out of my comfort zone. And if I was going to go out of New England, I was going to go all the way across the country. So that is how I ended up in California. I was also really interested in the location of Silicon Valley. We are right center in the area, which gives us a lot of opportunities not only for internships and jobs afterwards, but our amazing alumni network as well. And that was definitely one of my concerns, especially if I go back to Boston afterwards, not having those connections. But rest assured, I was told, especially when I was applying, how broad and expansive our alumni network is. Not only does it expand across the country, I learned, but across the world, which was a really useful fact to know when applying to schools. I also was really interested in just the general area surrounding the campus. I wanted to make sure there were places to eat, to go to the movies, to spend time with my friends in the general area. We're 35 minutes away from Santa Cruz, about an hour on the Caltrain from San Francisco. So there's a lot of opportunities to do things on the weekend, to explore the general area, and that's definitely something I wanted to do because I never wanted to be bored on the weekends. And additionally, I think the community aspect was one of the most important things for me. I wanted to go to a school that I could be my home for the next 4 years. And obviously moving across the country was a big shock. I did not know a single person on campus when I came. But preview day, the revisit day for students, is what really showed me that Santa Clara was the right fit for me. When I talked to students who weren't even involved in putting on the program, students who went here and just saw me in passing, they asked me if I wanted to get lunch with them, if I wanted to go see their dorm room, even though they were strangers and didn't know me. Additionally, when I visited classes and talked to professors, they were really interested in getting to know me, not even where I was from and my family, but also my passions, my interests, what I wanted to do after college, different opportunities I was looking into, the field I wanted to be in. So I definitely felt that welcoming feeling when I stepped foot on campus,
Sure.
and I continue to feel the community aspect, which is one of the main things that I was looking for in a college.
Very cool. And you know, I've worked at the university for 13 years, and I can truly say that that community word, that is something that the university takes seriously and tries to foster. You know, we're a national school. We're about a 60-40 in-state, out-of-state breakdown, and so I don't know if folks really get that, right? I mean, the Bay Area, just like Southern California and parts of the East Coast, is one of the more diverse and dynamic and mingling areas of the country. And so as a university, yeah, we try to reflect that. And so, yeah, I love our location. I'm a native of the Bay Area, but I've lived in the four corners of the country. The Bay Area is pretty unique, you know, in that you can get to pretty much anything right around campus, and that's pretty fun. Another frequently asked question that we get, Lily, is about demonstrated interest, right? So how did you go about that?
So I had a few different ways that I tried to demonstrate interest at schools. My first step was always when representatives came to our school fairs. My high school was really proactive. They had several fairs for us, which was a really nice opportunity and resource. So I was able to connect with counselors from other schools there. I could fill out interest indicators, give them my information to receive that promotional material from them during that following school year. Another way that I was able to demonstrate interest was just reaching out to the schools. I talked to the ambassadors here at Santa Clara because I wasn't actually able to visit the school. I didn't want to fly across the country to visit, so I was able to reach out to them, ask questions about opportunities on campus for research, internships, to talk about the community aspect of the school, what students did for fun on the weekends, things like that. And then for several of my schools I was able to actually visit, which was a really nice opportunity. I was able to see the students on the campus, see how the campus looked, what was around it, talk to students who were actually going there, talk to academic professors as well as advisors in the admissions office, which was a really nice resource as well. But a lot of schools don't require visits anymore, and it's nice because if that's not possible for you, it's not a requirement. So you can also do online virtual tours, which is a great way to show interest or just to get a better idea of the school in general. I know we have a virtual tour that you can go on and do a whole walkthrough of the campus without ever stepping foot on the campus, which is a really nice opportunity if it's not feasible to get to campus, if it's across the country, if it's out of your range, if you're busy with school, things like that.
And that's a great point because, again, you know, we're a national school. It would be, we couldn't expect everybody to come here, right? That's not feasible for everyone. So yeah, I think you did a great job in the sense of making the best of the opportunities that you were given. When when any institution came to you, go see them, right? And that kind of thing. And it's important to ask questions and be knowledgeable about that school.
Definitely.
You know, so that's a great thing. Let's see. In terms of other sort of important things that students should be looking at at a particular university, what sort of are the ROI, right? Return on investment kind of questions or factors do you think students should be looking at?
So I say anytime a student has an opportunity to speak with a counselor, talk to students on campus, do that campus tour, there are a number of things they should ask about. Definitely the academic fields that are offered for them, their interest, if you're interested in a specific college, like the engineering school we have here, business school, or at any university, see how their academic programs are. Also, a really important thing for me was asking about student and teacher relations, if there was a TA teaching that class, if the professors held office hours, how small the class sizes were, what our student to faculty ratio were, things that would affect my class experience here at Santa Clara. I also definitely wanted to know about how difficult it was to declare a major and if I wanted to switch that major out, what that 4-year plan looked like for students, core curriculum requirements, things like that. And then there are a lot of numbers you want to know. Obviously, you want to know size of classes, as I mentioned, retention rates for 4-year students. Also, I wanted to know how many students study abroad, how many students were athletes, things like that, to get a general picture and outline of the student body that you're going to be going to school with.
Sure. So to that end, let me take this time to kind of educate the folks. And this is where, you know, it makes me proud to represent a school like Santa Clara because I think we do a good job of not only fostering community, but also just developing some folks who do some pretty cool things. And so, you know, I think for us, one, I'll say our size, right? We benefit from being a medium-sized school. but the speed of things here, right? We're on the quarter system, so things move quickly. Big picture out there, sort of generally speaking, 4 classes usually makes a student a full-time college student, right? On the semester system, you take about 8 classes in an academic year. On the quarter system, which is what we're on here at Santa Clara, in the same amount of time, but on the quicker timetable, you're taking at least 12 classes, right? And so things move quickly. Again, the benefit to that, I think, is that you're able to get the classes that you need for the general ed or the core, the basics that everybody has to take, for your major, for a minor, for a second major or minor. Along those lines, as the Santa Clara, we have one of the higher retention rates in the country, meaning continuation from first to second year, 95%. And our 4-year graduation rate, not a 6-year, but our 4-year graduation rate is one of the highest in the country at 88%. I tell folks all the time, and I'm sure the folks out there know that, the Bay Area right now is one of the most, if not the most expensive area in the country to live. You kind of have to be productive where we are, and our students are. No matter the major, right, from art history to engineering, 80% of our students graduate with at least one internship under their belt. We're in the top 1% of salaries at graduation and mid-level career salaries and all that kind of stuff. This is an area where you kind of got to be about something, right? Again, it's one of the most innovative and dynamic places in the world, and we benefit from that for sure. So very cool. And again, for you folks out there, those are important questions to be asking at any institution that you're looking at. All right, Lily, so one of the frequently asked questions that we get is how do we pay for college, right? Especially a private school. And really, generally speaking, there are a couple of forms that are very important, right? Now, the FAFSA, the FAFSA, which stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, woo, got that. That's pretty universal. Most schools in the country utilize that, and that's going to make you eligible for any sort of federal and state monies. For private schools, there's an additional and necessary form, and it's the CSS profile. Sometimes referred to as the profile. And so I tell students all the time, regardless of whether or not, mom and dad, or I tell families all the time, regardless of whether or not you think you're going to qualify for need-based funding, it's important to fill those forms out and just put yourself in the best position possible. The CSS profile generally makes folks eligible for any sort of institutional funds that a university might have, right? And so, especially when it comes to private schools, again, it's really important to just put yourself in the best position possible and just really apply, see if you get in, if what they offer you is realistic, and go from there. In terms of merit-based scholarships, again, do your research, right? Different institutions have different rules and regulations in terms of when you need to be to apply to be considered for those. For Santa Clara, we consider students the same no matter the time period. Early, regular, doesn't matter. And that is really what we look at, everything that students have control over, right? So everything that you mentioned in terms of being involved in school, doing well in school, that kind of thing, everything we talked about in terms of grades and what you took given the high school you're coming from, test scores and all that, we look at all of that. And it's really only the things that you have control over. And so, with that, it can be competitive, because those are merit-based monies, right? And so you need to be meritorious to receive that, but just apply and see if you qualify. Those dollars at Santa Clara range from anywhere around a couple $1,000s to the whole cost of attendance and then some. So again, it's just worth applying. But yeah, so I mean that's really kind of how financial aid works in a nutshell. It's tough to say average packages and things like that because family situations vary so differently. But, all right, folks. Well, hopefully you found this useful. Lily, did you have a good time?
I did.
Cool. I enjoyed myself as well. Just as a reminder, folks, again, especially if you're a senior, those deadlines are coming up, right? And so November 1st is a deadline for both early decision and early action. January 7th is a deadline for regular decision and ED2 or early decision 2. Again, like I said, apply. Be smart about it and apply when you're the strongest. Lily, any other tips for them?
Yeah, sure. So I think just stay calm, collected. I know it's a stressful process for everyone, and I hope you guys all find the right fit for you. Make sure to follow us also for Santa Clara. It's at SCU Admissions. Send us a message if you have any questions or any concerns or just want a student perspective.